This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have a male in the studio, a very special male who happens to be my neighbor and our good friend, Dale Steno. Welcome to Ivy Unleashed.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are so happy you're here. We have an incredible conversation that is about to go down that y'all are going to be blessed to hear. Dale, last August, was faced with a decision that no one wants to make, a decision of being a victim or a survivor. And he chose survivor, like the badass he is. So Dale, take us back to August 2021. What happened?
Well, it was a pretty normal August, really, except it was nothing normal at all. Actually, going back to July, the whole house had summer colds, essentially, and everybody got better. I got worse, and much worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, to one fine Sunday when I kind of jogged upstairs, boing, 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 and got to the top and thought I was having a heart attack, and thought, oh, this doesn't feel right. So went into urgent care, and they're like, no. At first, they were kind of hoping or thinking it was a heart attack, and they're like, no, it's definitely not. Your right lung doesn't seem to exist. And so that began a trip to urgent care that I was planning on being there for like an hour. Ended up being a 4-day hospital stay and stage 4 lung cancer.
Wow. Woo! Okay. So this is a Sunday. So Sunday to Thursday, yes, you're hanging out in a hospital, unplanned. What is that like to think that you're just grabbing your wallet, going to urgent care, and then you're staying with us and not knowing what's going to become of it?
Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. And the truth is I didn't know about the cancer till Wednesday. So Sunday they started taking a look around in the lung, and they're like, yeah, it ended up being 6 liters of fluid that was basically crushing my entire right side. And so when people say that you have fluid in the lung, I don't know if that's actually a thing, but it's actually on the outside of the lung, and it crushes it. And so it's in the membrane, and wasn't working at all. And they started draining it, and they only do so much at a time because the lung has to re-expand, and it takes time.
How do they drain it?
You don't want to know.
Really?
Ugh.
Right in through the back. I don't know if they get a Black & Decker or some sort of drill and go in there, but it feels like that. It is absolutely awful. It's literally between the ribs, which is a very high, sensitive area right next to the spine and all that. They run some sort of tube in there, vacuum it all out, and it's, it doesn't necessarily take that long. They do about 2 liters at a time, or they at least did for me. So it was 3 days of that, and you could feel the lung like slowly, like kind of like cellophane, that noise, re-expanding, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
It was awful.
So while this was going on, you didn't know about the cancer yet?
Still didn't know about the cancer, but I did start to suspect something was wrong because the doctors, I had like 3 doctors that were watching over me, and they would come in, or 1 or 2 of them would come in together and ask a whole bunch of questions and then leave. And they would say things like, do you have any reason to believe you may have had pneumonia? Like, no, I don't think so. Okay. And out they go. I'm like, oh, that was weird. And started realizing like something seems kind of major here. I just figured, it was some, COVID related thing, or, some fluke thing. And you got this stuff in your lungs. See you later. Go live your life. But not the way it went down. My idea was better, but they had a different plan. So,
Man, so Wednesday's the day. You're hanging out. What is that like? Like, how does that go down? And like, how do doctors say this to you?
Yeah. I got to learn that when they pull up a chair next to your bed, when they've been standing there talking to you for the last 3 days, and they pull up a chair and sit down next to you and grab your arm, it's bad. And it was I'm like, oh, this is like, we're involved in some weird talk now where, getting emotional or something. And she sits down next to me and she's like, yeah, I don't even know how to tell you this, but you have cancer. And at that point, we still didn't know stages or any, like, the severity of it. So she's like, the long and the short is, yes, you have cancer. Something's going on, but we have to send your samples out to wherever they send them out to. They run like, I can't remember how many tests, but it's like in the hundreds of different tests of different like combinations of things. And it takes about 2 weeks to get the staging and an actual game plan of what's going to happen next. So in the meantime, that 2 weeks, my lung starts filling back up with all the fluid again because they're not treating it for anything. And I got to do all that rotor process again. So I think I ended up doing it a total of 3 times. So it was 3 days of that the first time and then 2 other times later on. But now good to go. So
in between getting drilled, you just went back home and waited for more information?
More or less. And, realistically, I went back to work. Thursday, I even went back to work from the house and, anything to take your mind off it really. And, some people do really, really poor with stress. I like to think I do a little bit better with it and just kind of immerse yourself in work and, stay on course and, working out, things like that weren't really in the immediate forecast for me. They're like, you got to just don't do anything. So it was actually kind of a nice break, but I was ready to get back to my old life really, really quick. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about your old life or your current life. You are a husband and a father you got 2 children and a dog Jack, the cutest dog in the entire world.
Sure.
And a beautiful wife, Chanel. And you are a very fit person. Like up to this point, you and I would talk about our races. You lead personal training sessions. You're a kickboxer. Like you are not the person that gets lung cancer. And also, fun fact, never smoked, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So tell us about that. The type of lifestyle you had leading up to this.
Yeah. So August before that, on August last year, I did a couple 100-mile ultra marathon relay race through the, all hours of the night, that type of thing. That was the second one I had done. And, fast forward a whole year, no real changes in lifestyle, no smoking, nothing like that. And, I get lung cancer, which is like nothing makes sense at that point. Yeah. I was pretty angry at fitness and diet and all that. I trashed it. I was like, you know what, just eat whatever you want. You're just going to get freaking cancer and die anyway. And, I genuinely thought, I'm going to go, eat McDonald's till I die in 6 months or whatever. And I was like, that sounds awesome. But the truth is, as fast as I could get, back on my diet and kind of really amp it up, I started feeling substantially better. So cutting out red meats and, cutting out some alcohol, not all, but the general mantra, no alcohol. The kind of wink is like, you can have some. It's not that bad.
So this mindset of I'll have McDonald's every day until I die, how long was that your mindset for before you made this switch?
Not very long at all. I mean, probably inside of 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm back. I'm back. I'm, going to really buckle down. I'm going to, get my life right, rest better, that type of thing. And it did help, especially early on when you have cancer, and especially when you start treatment, your baseline of everything just drops. So you're tired constantly, you're cold constantly. It's a big thing for cancer patients is all the blood stays out of your extremities and protects your main organs. And it kind of goes into the fight or flight mode, and that's what happens. And so you're cold constantly, going to bed at normally 10:30, and then it was like I could barely even walk upstairs by 9 o'clock. So I'm like, really got to dial this stuff in, both diet, eating salads and everything else. And I was back and I felt fantastic after about 3 months. So I definitely made the right decision. You could see how, people that get dead by dates, you got 3 months to live, like that type of thing. You could see how you could subscribe to it, believe it, and have it happen. Just following that, what I went through, even though I knew better.
It's really interesting to think about mindset in this time, right? Because it's, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, but it's impossible, until you're in your shoes. I just keep thinking about that gap, the 2 week gap of the mystery, right? And you keep saying that like you were good after a few weeks, and did that have anything to do with the fact that you got some answers?
Yeah. So the 2 weeks thing, I got a peek under the hood from my new oncologist after about a week. And she said, I never met her. She called me. She's like, I'm not technically supposed to call you. We're supposed to have this meeting in person, but I do have good news. You have more or less the best of the worst. She's like, you can probably live a pretty good life, as far as all the things you're able to do, previously, you'll still be able to do. You're definitely gonna have a shorter life, but it's going to be manageable. And I need you to, stay focused, more or less. Stick on your diet. You learn a lot about dieting very, very quickly, and kind of make some overall lifestyle changes. But she's like, it's not necessarily gonna be that bad, and you're probably gonna hit a point where you're gonna almost forget that you have it and be able to go on your merry way. But technically, you still do have it. Nothing changes there, unfortunately.
I want to take you back to what you said earlier, where you mentioned the mindset around food and being healthy and being upset with fitness. And you have been extremely healthy before this.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that had anything to do with helping with your mindset, with how your body's responding now?
When I was in the hospital with the 3 or 4 doctors that were over me all day, which was lovely, there was one guy in particular that was really cool. He was my age, roughly, and this guy was just so cool. He was a doctor that specializes in lung or whatever. He was roughly my age. He was like in the Marines. I'm like, I want to be you. You're so cool. Mm-hmm. But he came in right after I got the news. He wasn't the one that delivered the news, but he came in right when he heard it, when his shift started or whatever, and came in, and I was trashing fitness and everything pretty bad. And I was like, this is just a bunch of crap. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to not work out ever again. It's going to be awesome. And ha, ha, ha. And he said flat out, he's like, I know you feel like that, but the only reason you're even alive today is because you did all that stuff before. And the only reason you get through this is because you're going to keep doing it. And that was it. That was the decision that I had to make, right then, that, you can be a victim or you can be a survivor. But I decided to be a survivor at that moment. But at the same time, deep down, I was like, screw this. And it did take a good couple of weeks to really get back into it.
What's that survivor mentality like? Like, I'm thinking of this probably being kind of like a roller coaster. Is it super steep, or is it kind of slow and steady? Like, what is it like to be in this mentality where you've chosen, I have to be really diligent and stay somehow positive about this experience?
Yeah. The truth is, I can see very quickly who, like in the cancer world, you meet a ton of people, and the ones that are really full of energy, and there's a weirdness about cancer where you want to actually go help other people with cancer, and other people are just like, I have cancer, see you later, bye. And it's like, for one, nobody has to go through it alone. I got immersed in the community right away and met a ton of amazing people, most of which had the same type of mindset. But there were a few that really kind of jumped out at me that were, they had even exceeded their dead by dates that they were given, but they still just I'm like, this is another opportunity for you. And they still just, no, I'm not going to make any changes to my lifestyle. I'm going to do my treatments, but that's it. That's the only thing I'm going to do. And that just seems like giving up to me. So not my style.
Yeah. You said a new opportunity, and I feel like you've taken this as a new opportunity. So I'd love for you to touch on what's different now.
What's different now? Everything is, and it's all for the better, generally speaking. The truth is, it was kind of getting a new lease on life, and really been able to do a lot of things that I really wouldn't have done before. Historically speaking, I was a corporate fast tracker, or still am, I guess. And I honestly didn't use a ton of my PTO. One of my dear friends from high school, or I think I knew this guy in junior high, but he moved to San Diego and since then to Texas, right after high school. And I never, ever visited him. And every year I'd say, yeah, this is the year I'm going to come out and see you. It's going to be awesome. He's like, yeah, okay. And I got this news, and literally ordered tickets to go see him. He's in Texas now, but went and saw him just a few weeks ago. We're booking trips. We're doing things like kind of living life. And, I rolled the dice and bought a gym the other day, which is something I'm not sure I would have done before. I always kind of wanted to, but I probably would have been more of like an investor in it. And now I'm like, you know what? Let's try this. This seems like a fun job to have. So.
It's so exciting. And we've been in the gym and it's beautiful. It's awesome. It's in Maple Grove, Minnesota. If anybody's local, we'll touch on that some more later. But talking about this gets me thinking about, taking the PTO and like you said, living life. And so I'm curious, when you're walking around and you're at a grocery store, you're in the neighborhood or anywhere, looking at other people that don't have cancer at this point that they know about, what do you feel like they're missing?
I don't know. I honestly wish everybody could have a brush with it, like just believe that they had cancer for a day or a week or a month, because I think that there'd be a lot more entrepreneurs out there. There'd be more PTO used. People would be a little bit more present. One thing for me, my kids are a bit older, so 10 and 13. So there's not tons of firsts anymore, but what do we have? Softball, gymnastics, Girl Scouts, hockey, all this stuff. But I barely ever miss a thing these days because that time's very valuable to me now. And when I'm there, I'm very present. When I'm with the kids, I'm very present. It used to be like, hey, I'm going to pretend that we're playing and I'm going to be on my phone working. Yay. But now it's like, I'm like, I can boot down for an hour and it's awesome. It's wonderful. And money, like stress around that is like, you die today, you're not taking it with you. And, nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. So cancer patients know this.
Yeah, I don't think it ever really sinks in though till you say like get a brush with it or you get a full-on diagnosis. And a lot of the stories of people that we've had on IV Unleashed that have been through something tough is it's like life hits them so hard to wake us up because there's so many distractions. It like makes me emotional thinking about you going to urgent care, living your busy life, trying to probably fit in a quick appointment to come home with an antibiotic or something, and sometimes it's like, man, we all need to slow down. We need to take a minute to figure out what we want out of our life, what we're trying to like accomplish or see or experience, because like nobody wants to have to get a diagnosis to be able to do that. And we have the power to do it right now.
Yeah.
So it's super inspiring to hear that you're like, nope, I'll just buy the gym. Let's just buy the gym.
Yeah. Another thing is for me, I didn't even want to go into the doctor until I realized that thought I was having a heart attack because I genuinely believed it was a heart attack. Even then, even if it hadn't hurt as bad, I may not have even gone in. But I was always the tough guy and didn't want to go to do checkups. I was like, oh, this freaking thing, I got to get a prescription refilled. I'm going to put it off for 6 more months. Go in, please do it. Get checked out. And, not that this would have been, caught or anything necessarily, but, I was living with it for probably 6 weeks, knowing something was wrong and acting like everything was fine.
Yeah. It's
don't recommend
slowing down to listen to your body when it's giving you those signals that something's off and
then doing something about it. I mean, people live in pain. I have so many clients that are in pain every day and they're not going to get it checked out. I mean, there's a million reasons why, time, resources, insurance, money, being the tough guy. Like, I don't want to be vulnerable and have a doctor check me out, whatever, but it could save your life.
Yep. And there is, there's definitely something to be said about finding bad news. Like there's no problem if you don't know about it necessarily. So, but please do.
Yeah.
Yep. I go in for everything now, unfortunately.
It makes sense too why you wouldn't think you needed to. You work out every day and, we're eating a semi-healthy diet and sure drinking lots of water and prioritizing your health for the most part and training people in your garage. I mean, you're the type of person that probably feels like, you know what, I'm probably fine. I don't need to go to the doctor.
Yeah, exactly right. I was coming out of a pandemic. I was pretty convinced it was just something related to that. The world was so topsy-turvy, still at that point. I was like, oh, I guarantee this is what COVID feels like. But looking at symptoms online. I remember it very specifically. I'm like, are these COVID symptoms? And shortness of breath could be. Not being able to breathe at all is not, that wasn't a symptom. That was, dying. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious what treatment looks like. Like you have, to compartmentalize going in and being the cancer patient, but also living your life and chasing your dreams. And so what is that experience like?
Yeah, the treatment plan for me, I'm one of the lucky ones in actuality. So people think of chemo and, losing your hair and all that, and that still exists 100%. But the truth about chemo is it kills the good cells and it kills the bad cells. So it's like throwing a grenade into a bus to stop the hijacker, but you kill the 3 nuns sitting in the front in the Girl Scout troop that are also in this bus. It's a very unique bus. But for me, I'm on targeted chemo, which is just a pill. And so I don't even know if it's technically chemo, but when it comes in the mail, which is I get it once a month, they make you sign for it and everything. It's $1,200 a day, and it says the biohazard labels on it. They don't even want non-cancer patients to touch this. Some people on different strengths of this type of thing, they can't, they have to use separate bathrooms and things like that. It's more intense. So I'm not as bad, but I take one pill a day, $1,200. It's a lot of bread. And if you miss it, not the end of the world, but it is you can miss once a month maybe, and otherwise it's they're like, yeah, stay on it. But that's it. I mean, that's the only real treatment I have to take. On top of the one pill they give you, they have you take it for a couple of weeks, even maybe 6 weeks, I guess, and then they have you come back and they want to see how your body is reacting to it, because of taking this relatively strong pill, other things happen, like your skin breaks out, people get stiffness in joints, fingernails fall off, just weird stuff like that. And I'm one of the lucky ones there too. I've had some fingernail problems, but lots of skin rashes, itching till you bleed, God only knows. But then you get medications for all that stuff too. So my Keep Dale Alive pill routine every night, it's an ordeal. It's 5, 6, 7 minutes of taking pills, drinking water, taking pills. But then there's a whole bunch of supplements as well. Some supplements are really good for some cancers, and other cancers are don't take this particular supplement at all. And there's no method to the madness. So lots of research and meet with lots of doctors and lots of, we've looked at alternative healing, acupuncture, a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So not just, to me, the cancer and oncologist and all that, that's one part of it. Mm-hmm. And then, all the healing for my mental state and everything else is, another part of it in actuality. So I would say most survivors have found a Western avenue, some sort of chemo, as well as a Eastern medicine type avenue, and they combine them and it works.
Yeah. So are you doing alternative medicine right now, like the acupuncture and other practices?
I haven't much lately, but historically, I mean, I was going in for acupuncture at least once a week over the winter. What else have we done? Oh, I mean, I've basically tried everything. I basically just subjected myself to anything anyone wanted to throw at me, as long as it was maybe above ground. I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So
is that overwhelming at all too, when you're digging into the research on what to take, what not to do, figuring out who to even listen to?
Yeah. There's a lot of info, and then there's a lot of, I would almost say conspiracy theories around it. I mean, well, I wouldn't say that. It is that about where chemo comes from and what it actually does, and how big pharma makes money and all this. Well, at $1,200 a pill, one might argue that, hey, they're in that for the money, and that's the only thing that's keeping you alive. The truth is, it doesn't cost $1,200 to manufacture a pill. It does cost a lot of money to research how to make the pill, and so that's kind of counterpoint right there. But and then there's other survivors out there. There's a lot of good books on people that said that they were not going to subject themselves to chemo or any regular, what we would call like FDA approved methods. And they were going to go out and find alternatives. And there's plenty that have been successful, and there's some that haven't. One of which you might know, Steve Jobs. He was tokened for saying something along the lines of he regretted doing Eastern medicine when he should have been doing chemo or something like that, because he did acupuncture and some other stuff in lieu of getting on a chemo platform.
Got it. Yeah, I feel like it would be so different. Like, because big reason why Brooke and I are doing what we're doing is to simplify health and wellness, because it's so much information, so much research, so many different opinions, and you have to trust this research with your life. Like, we kind of are, right? But it's just different. And so what have you found that you feel like, I trust this information, or I trust this person to kind of lead me into this mystery land?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot. And I don't think anybody is intentionally like trying to lure people away from certain avenues. I think what they're doing, generally speaking, is good, because maybe it's worked, at one point or another. But there's a book that is almost like the holy Bible of the cancer community called Radical Remission, that this woman got cancer at like the age of 19 or something. And she's now a doctor, but she took, I think it's 9 or 10. She took these 10 principles and applied them to her life, and has cured herself of cancer and cured like thousands of others with all different types of cancer. And so, there's workshops, there's entire communities, there's tons of stuff about her teachings online, and everybody has had, some sort of success with it, whether they've beaten cancer or not, I guess I can't say, but getting in that, I've never even read the book, but I've been to her workshops and, read, more or less different parts of the book, but never read the whole thing through. And it was very eye-opening.
Is it like different avenues of wellness, like nutrition, exercise, mindset, or is it all like mindset type of stuff?
All those different things. I can't remember. I think it's like the 9 keys or the 10 keys or something like that. But yeah, all that, exercise. And exercise doesn't necessarily mean, you running a marathon or doing anything really, where you're going to really put your body into a sweat-induced state. Sometimes it's just walking, because that's a hard thing for some cancer patients. Like they can't even, they get beat up pretty bad early on. And walking to the car is almost impossible. So finding a mailbox, walking to that, turn around, coming back, and the next day walking to the second mailbox and coming back, like that's an accomplishment.
Well, we just boxed with you and you have lung cancer. Like, what is this for real? I feel like I see you boxing with your clients. I see you doing the workouts. It's a miracle that you're able to keep doing what you're doing, especially with lung cancer.
Yeah, I'm very unlikely when most people see me, out there still moving around. And, I was trained to actually take a boxing match this fall. And I have come to my senses after having a broken nose and having doctors yell at me like, what the heck are you thinking? That we're going to put the kibosh on that. So I think that's my wife will chalk that up as a win to her, because she was not happy with that. So
what are some of these, out of the 9 keys, some specific things that you follow that you feel like have made a huge difference?
One reoccurring theme, and it's in the book as well, is getting back in touch with nature. And like for me, I love snowshoeing, snowboarding, all that type of thing. And winter could be a very depressing time, but try having cancer and having a depressing winter. But I got back out snowshoeing this year. Didn't do any snowboarding, but having a dog is actually kind of a nice thing, because even though he's 6 months, 7 months now, and a real pain in the lots of energy, but he does like to be outside. And he does like to walk. And my mornings lately have been we do a minimum of a mile walk every morning together. So it's been pretty nice. Not something I would do without a dog necessarily. So kind of getting connected with nature, really taking time to, de-stress might not be the right word, but taking me time where you're like, hey, I'm just going to play on BuzzFeed or whatever. I don't know why I chose BuzzFeed. I don't even play on there, but that type of thing is just like, hey, it's okay to not constantly be productive. And so now that I have a corporate job and a gym, I'm pretty dang busy, but 9 o'clock every single night, I don't respond to emails. I don't look at anything. I mean, 9 o'clock kind of late for, most people won't want to keep working that late, but it's kind of the reality right now. So,
well, and compared to what you were doing before, right? This is a step in a better direction for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, not bad.
How do you juggle being a business owner in corporate America, a father, a husband, a dog owner, a cancer patient?
I don't know. I really don't. Some days it's a challenge, but realistically, I don't approach every day like I'm a cancer patient, and I'd recommend any cancer patient, anybody with a life-threatening disease, to not focus on that, because that to me would make days almost seem unbearable. Like, I get up every single day, I have a spring in my step. I'm going to work on the gym for maybe an hour in the morning. I'm going to go to my corporate job, but really have even more energy than I ever have, because I almost view every day as a gift. I'm like, how can I be productive today? How can I give back to this world? How can I leave it a better place than I found it? How I balance it, I don't know, but I feel some days that I'm so busy, my assistant could have an assistant, and then other days I'm like, I didn't accomplish a thing today. The book that was a runaway bestseller in the earlier 2000s, I guess, The Secret. Mm-hmm. And Bob Proctor says in there, he says, if you have a incurable disease, just imagine it being curable from within. And that makes sense to me. He goes on to say that, picture yourself having a healthy, disease-free body. Let the doctors worry about the disease. So
I love that.
It's the internal game for you.
Yep.
And I'm sure the choosing gratitude, the pep in your step, the doing things that you wanted to be doing a long time ago, but it took that push. Now, almost in a way, like, helps with the stress. Cause I'm thinking, the stress of juggling all of these things is not helping your health. But when you're in your purpose and these are things you want to be doing, it gives you that reason to get out of bed in the morning, no matter if you have a diagnosis or not.
Exactly right. And yeah, you're absolutely, I mean, all that stuff is accurate, because I wanted to do all this stuff ages ago. And I don't know what the right time would have been in my, non-cancer mind, but now it is the right time. Mm-hmm. And the things that people get stressed about, and, I definitely still get stressed, but I look at like my corporate job, or I look at, problems with the gym, and I'm like, this stuff is it's not worth being stressed over. Very little is actually worth being stressed over. Mm-hmm. So I know that, and I know other cancer patients know that, but I would love for the
world
to know it.
Yeah. Well, it's like the idea that stress is a choice, because it's the meaning that we're attaching to it. Mm-hmm. And it's when we want to change something, but we can't change it. And so let it go.
Yeah.
But that awareness piece, I feel like for you, is so huge, and it just makes sense. Like, there are bigger things to worry about right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you do have to worry about still taking these medications or going into the doctor. So I'm curious how you make that separation. People have like, separate work from home. I walk in and I'm home, or I'm, at work. And how do you do that with doctor time or like medication time versus like your life?
Yeah, the doctor stuff early on was so taxing, and they flat out tell you, they're like, early on, you're going to be, hopefully your job is flexible, which lucky mine is. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in the doctor a lot, and you are in a ton. I mean, I think I had 3 appointments in one day at different doctor offices. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what all they did. They had a scope. They had to run a scope down my throat in the morning to check out, all the whatever organs they can check with a scope, I guess. I had to do something else that afternoon. And at like 5 o'clock, I was drinking beer on a boat. It was a bizarre day. But you do actually kind of forget, because you're not in the doctor, you're not in the stupid gown all day, and you're kind of back to life. But then when your appointments creep up, they come in like patches, where it's like maybe for 2 weeks, you'll have a whole bunch of appointments, and then they go away for 3 months. And that's more or less the program I'm on. So my appointments start probably in July. I have all my scans, I think they're my 9-month scans, if memory serves. And there's a fun term called scanxiety that is a real live thing. And as good with a mindset as I am, it's still like there's no matter what, you're like, I got these scans coming up. This is at my 6-month appointment. I'm like, I'm going to kick butt. It's going to be awesome. But then like the little devil pops up and is like, what if it's not? And you're like, no, it's going to be good. Crap. I mean, I had a cough last week. Maybe I bet it's tied. And then you kind of go through, it's a slippery slope, but for the most part, getting the scans, that's easy. You go there, you're there for an hour. It's not that big a deal. Waiting 5 days to your follow-up appointment because they did all the tests on everything and looked at everything, and it's a long 5 days, but you're like, okay, how many more sleeps do I have? 4 more sleeps. But
I keep thinking too about like you have a family. You're not only juggling your own emotions around this, they're feeling your energy of the scanxiety, right? I'm sure they have it too. What has that been like, not only juggling your feelings and emotions around it, but your family's?
I was very impressed in kind of a depressing way when I realized how much the kids actually knew about cancer when we first told them. And but they're like, so Dane, who's 13, was he said, well, what stage is it? And I was like, how do you even know what that is? I think it was 12 at the time. Yeah, he was 12 at the time. And he knew what that is. He was like, well, 1 is good, right? I'm like, well, it's the less bad. He's like, so are you 1? I'm like, keep going. And he's like, what, 2, 3? I'm like, 4. And there was no 5. But, sharing the info, telling them what the game plan is, and then showing them that I'm okay. Showing them that I'm getting up every day. I ask for very little help in all things I do. I never really ask for help for anything. And, for better or worse, I kind of have kept that going, but I've just shown them I'm still here. Everything is good. There is a very fun victim thing you get to do when you have cancer. There's things I can say that you guys can't say, and there's things I can tell my kids that luckily you guys actually can't say, but they want to wrestle me on the couch or whatever it is. I'm like, you really want to do this to a middle-aged cancer patient?
With the dark humor.
It's wonderful. Like,
the darkest.
Like, hey, where do you guys want to go for dinner? And we all disagree. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I don't know how many dinners I have left anymore.
Oh, damn.
What's their reaction? Okay, fine, Dad, you win.
No, they're like, yeah, we don't care. They're thinking Arby's. And my wife has been over the top fantastic, extremely supportive. It is actually, it's kind of depressing to me to wake up on a Saturday and she's sitting next to me reading, and I say, what are you reading? She's like, cancer stuff. I'm like, I hate that I have to put her in that position. And she's taken it pretty head on. And we haven't been married necessarily that long in the whole grand scheme of, we got married older in life. And it's kind of like, my joke has always been like, oh, your husband's extended warranty ran out. Would you like to? I can say that type of thing.
No, you can. Well, the thing is, you've always had that humor. Mm-hmm. It's always been like the dark humor. Like, it's like what do comedians say? You do A, B, and then you hit them with like J instead of like C that you think is coming. I feel like
is awesome.
That's kind of what your humor has been. So I'm not surprised at all that you throw in some twisty, dark humor in there.
Mr. X. Yep. Well, it was, kind of funny early on. I was like, I don't want her to have any more reason for me to not be here because, life insurance, this type of thing. And I'm like, this would be a great opportunity if like she really wanted me gone to, yeah, never mind.
Oh my God.
I love it.
When you are throwing these dark comments, jokes at them, their reaction, it's all fun and games. But what is the support really like?
The support is both in the house, in the family, and in the world. The cancer support it's unbelievable. And that is actually part of the doctor's approach. So you get set up right away with a, I don't know if you call it a counselor or what, but you get a nurse navigator assigned to you that you call when you need something and like, hey, I don't know what to do with this. And they get the answers and they call you back. It's wonderful. You get a support, counselor, whatever that term is, I guess. And they throw you in some group support. They throw you in one-on-one support, like counseling. Me, I was in it all for a month or two and I was good. And then there's some people that are in it for years, unfortunately. And it's very helpful. It's like, I can't even really tell you what it would be like in the regular world, but you're part of the family. We jokingly say, hey, we're glad you're here, but we're also sad you have to be here. And there's truth to that, because when they're there, thinking of some of the events I've been to, it's like everybody is friends. Nobody messes with cancer. I mean, it's like everyone's friends. I mean, I think these guys, some of them, get together just because they've actually become friends. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that happens quite a bit in actuality, but I like to see everyone at the conferences. And then I also like to go live my previous life again. So, I
mean, you all have something in common where it's you're getting back to the basics of what really matters in life. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you're connected to that, how can you not admire that in someone and want to spend more time with them? Like, you're going to talk about meaningful shit.
Yeah, you're like connected on a spiritual level, almost.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Spirituality, I should say, is another one of those keys. Mm-hmm. Like getting connected with whatever you believe happens in the afterlife, and I can't say that's been a big part for me, but I've definitely been a little bit more in tune lately. And that's been wonderful. I should dive in a little bit more. They tell you that you'll find yourself you'll want to go back to childhood hobbies. Video games, for some people. For me, it was like BMX bikes and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. And I have found a huge uptick in my interest in some of these things. I can't remember, like RC cars I was big in. I probably haven't even thought about them in 20 years. And now I'm like, I don't think the wife would mind me buying a few $100 kids race car, but neither here nor there. But and it's funny because there's like this almost like creative side of you that you find when you have cancer, when you have any type of life-threatening disease, apparently. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's pretty widespread. People understand that, like people that grew up, coloring or drawing or whatever, they kind of pick it back up again once they get diagnosed. No idea.
That's so funny you say that, because I was listening to a podcast today where they were talking about that, where when you want to get back to your that creative space that you're looking for, or like really tap into, like if I were to start a business, what would it be like? They were saying a journal prompt is to go back to before the world told you what was cool. What did you like to do? And what did you find joy in? Because eventually there's so much noise of people telling you what's cool, what's not, that you kind of lose those things that you once had an interest in. So that's really cool. That's a really good idea.
And also, impressive. May have been the same podcast, but Jenna Kutcher, she said, what would your childhood self be mad at you for not continuing to do? What did you do when you were younger that you no longer do? That brought you so much joy. And I thought, I was like, ooh, that's good.
That's brilliant.
So you're doing it.
I guess so.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, I also found out I'm an okay writer. The world has liked what I've written up here.
Yes.
You are a very good writer. Dale started a blog.
It's basically stand-up comedy in a blog with a cancer twist. Yeah, I kind of feel like. It's
quite a cocktail. But
how did you decide to start blogging?
I knew it day one in the hospital, or day one when I found out, day 4 in the hospital, or day 3. And I was like, I have to write about this. But my reasoning, at least to myself at the time, or why I convinced myself I was going to commit to doing this, was I wanted other newly diagnosed cancer patients to be able to find this and see what I've gone through. And, you're right. The gloves come off. It's real. It's raw. And I don't really hold anything back. But, realistically, I think most people would find it pretty, sans the cancer that's hidden in there. It's not supposed to read like definitely like I'm a victim, but it's not supposed to be some horrible thing about some horrible experience where I have cancer, now I'm dying, something like that. I want it to be fun, and I want it to be educational. So, edutainment, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's a word.
Edutainment. I like it.
So is it more what you're going through, what you've learned, combination?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the above. What's coming up, what scans I have to do, what the scans are like, or, what the tests are like, not just scans, but what it's like getting your back drilled into. And you're awake when they do that, by the way.
Why? Why do you have to be awake for that?
I was going to ask, but I didn't want to.
The way they want you to sit is you basically stay upright, and they numb you up, but they numb you up twice. We're back on this topic now. This is fun. But wow. I would say it's probably 100 times worse than having a baby.
Okay.
He did that on purpose. And people are turning the podcast off. And see you later, everybody. So it's pretty painful is what you're saying, though.
Yep. I'd say it's about the equivalent of a man cold.
That's more like it.
Right.
Yeah, but the blog, just to get back to that, I think it's helpful for anybody to read, to have the perspective of somebody that has cracked the code on life, that you need to be present, and that life is a gift. We hear it all the time, right? But then it's to hear about someone living that out. You don't have to have cancer to get value from it, but it's cool that you have that person in mind, right? That you're writing it knowing you want to help someone that's newly diagnosed. I think that's super cool, so that they don't feel so in the dark about what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a time not that long ago when people went through this alone, and nobody has to go through it alone today. There are people without, maybe moved to a different country, or they're far away from their parents and their family. And, today, if that was the case, you'd still be connected at least. But there were people literally that lived alone, didn't have internet, before it was a thing, didn't have access to all this information, or it was a big ordeal to go out and get it. And I look back at that thinking, like, how could you possibly do that? We have support groups online. It can be educational. It can be fun to, get immersed in this stuff. But look back and just think, man, there's people that literally were just in the dark on this. They were told, it was like, I don't know what the right term would be, but whatever your doctor said would go at that point, and you didn't realize you had these options, So
yeah, I'm glad that you have the support that you have now, and that you're creating even more support is amazing. On top of that, let's talk about a little bit more about your gym. And it's amazing that you made that jump, but what are you kind of hoping to create at this Maple Grove, Minnesota Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping?
What do I hope to achieve? For one, I was a pretty okay kickboxer for a long time, and that's part of our program at the gym. And I really have had I like to think, a knack for training people in it, and I want to give that back. It's kind of like the cancer thing. Like, cancer patients want to help other cancer patients. Well, as a kickboxer, I want to help other kickboxers, and I've been able to. I don't know if you say be able to. I gained 60 pounds at one point. I had a back injury. I put on a ton of weight, and I was able to get it off and get in the best shape of my life in my 30s, and keep it off and be able to transfer that knowledge. And I found a real passion for it when I first got into this a couple of years ago, and opportunity like this comes, like literally trying to find reasons to say no, and I couldn't. So
meant to be.
We got to experience your gym and kickboxing there, which was so cool. And you are a great instructor. There's so much that goes into boxing that I didn't realize, with your toe and turning your foot and form. And it was like the fastest 45 minutes ever. But we had so much fun, and we're a little sore the next day, but in a good way.
Nice.
Yeah, I also love that it was self-defense, because as women, it's very important. But anyone, you're not taught this at all.
Yeah, there were so many like little tips of how to turn your body and how to use force. And I just think too, sometimes in our exercise routines, we can get kind of interrupt doing the same things. And our body really likes it when we switch things up. And our brain does too. Like Brooke and I were just like laughing. Like Dale was making us do all kinds of things that we have never done. I was like kicking this box this bag.
She doesn't even know the terminology. It's brand new.
I don't know, but it's so fun to try new things. And so I'm really excited for you and for our community to get access to you there. And so do you have kind of like a opening timeline in mind?
Yeah, we're shooting for soft opening yet in July, so next month, and then August as a grand opening date.
Awesome.
So
and we'll share the blog, we'll share the gym, we'll share all of that in our blog and link it from our show notes. But what does the future hold for you? What dreams or ideas do you have moving forward here?
The future, I guess I still want to make my mark in the world. I've done pretty good in corporate America, but I really feel like I want to give back. I want people to say, hey, the world's a better place because of this or whatever it is. And give my kids a good platform to go on to be very successful, whether I'm here or not. And realistically, I want to go to work and have fun every single day. And, trusting that this gym thing kicks off, maybe we add on some more and more and more and more. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know. But I know that my new thing, despite as stressful as it is getting this gym off the ground, my new thing is I just want to have fun. I genuinely want to have fun. So
you want to enjoy life and help others do the same.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly right.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Well, you're doing it. We're
Good.
so grateful.
Yeah.
You're here
Well, thank you.
with us. What is the blog? People can check it out. We're going to share it in our show notes, but I'd love for people to know right now where they can find you.
Yep. So nice and easy. It's my initials, drdtraining.com, like fitness training, drdtraining.com.
Beautiful.
One thing I really loved about, showing you guys how to get it done and how body mechanics and, just overall basic boxing techniques. I told you at the beginning that of our workout that day that you were going to be able to kick those 100-pound bags over by the end of the day. What did you say, Brooke?
Are we really going to be able to kick this over?
I said I could show you how to do it right now, but I did make you work for it till the end. So,
and we did.
And we did it.
We
but
did
you know, the reason why we didn't think we could is we watched you move them. You have to move them, like shimmy these big old bags. And I was not thinking that I was going to be able to kick that over, but
You're stronger than you think, and Dale proved it.
right, you
Showed us.
Good.
all right, Dale. Well, now it's time for the 3 gold stars. Would you like to share yours?
Yes. My 3 gold stars. Number 1, have fun in everything that you do. Number 2, the difference between a cancer patient and a non-cancer patient, nobody is guaranteed tomorrow, but the cancer patient knows it. And number 3, eat your dang organic blueberries and your organic spinach and your organic kale. It sounds boring, but that is one of the anti-cancer diets right there. Every single cancer patient knows about. You got to get on these things, and you're not cancer patients, still get on them.
Organic blueberries, kale, and spinach.
Spinach, yep.
Got
So
it.
my morning smoothie that includes all of those is
You're not
Killing
wrong.
it.
Yep, you could get it all in one fell swoop. Very easy.
beautiful.
Nice.
All right, and now we have Unleashing Ivy. So these are 3 surprise rapid fire questions.
Pew, pew, pew.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, my question, which you teed me up for perfectly. Aside from those 3 things, what do you eat? What does your diet look like?
Well, the general anti-cancer diet, or if you're a patient, low sugar, generally speaking, low carb, and not no carb, but low carb, and no more red meat. Sorry. Which that was a tough one for me, but now my wife had actually gone to no red meat about a year before this anyway. And so I was sort of supportive. Love you, honey. But so I would try her like weird, wacky, plant-based things. And now I've actually developed a pretty nice taste for them. And I'll tell you right now, moving from, to this diet now, I do feel a lot better. Lost like 5 pounds, which I didn't even know I had to lose. And I was like, nice. All right, I can keep this going.
What about organic? There's a lot of chit chat out there about organic not being legit, not needing to eat it. I'm curious with what you've read, what you think.
Look up the Dirty Dozen when it comes to organic. So I don't know what you'd Google search for that, but organic Dirty Dozen. But berries, big one, organic. So that's one. Spinach and kale, I still think pound for pound, organic or not, it's probably still pretty dang good. But we're probably 50-50 on if we buy that stuff organic. But blueberries, strawberries, all that farmers market, yes.
Is it because of the pesticides or why?
Yeah.
Organic, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, with blueberries or any of that, organic because pesticides or any other chemicals that could affect cancer, who knows what that stuff actually does. And maybe that's where cancer comes from to begin with. So if you can cut it out, I would say do it. Bananas, couldn't care less if they're organic or not. Like things that are in a peel or things you have to work for, I don't care about it. But things that are exposed and actually can be coated, that the part that you're going to eat, probably worth it.
I'm glad you brought that up because if you can do it, why take the risk?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, how much different is it as far as cost goes when you're at the grocery store? Maybe $3, and over time that can be a lot. Now, let me give you one chemo pill for $1,200, and you tell me how expensive it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a great point. All right, my question has to do with travel because I know that's been a big thing of yours. Where are we going? Where are we going? You've been booking some trips. So, two-part. What's your favorite destination that you've been to in the past, and where are you most looking forward to going?
Well, funny you ask because we've got a pretty nice trip scheduled for next week, Nashville.
Oh, fun. Back
when you could get tickets for $110 round trip. I don't think you can do that today. So we're very happy to have those. So looking forward to that. But I would say my big trip that I'm looking forward to, I got to go home at some point. I'm not actually from there, but I do want to go to Italy, and it's extremely expensive right now. So hopefully prices drive back down here in the not too distant future. But that would be the most exciting place for me. But we've had great times. New York City, I kind of partially work there, so we go to New York kind of a lot, not as much lately. And then Paris, highly recommend.
Same.
Because it's Paris.
Because, duh.
Yeah.
You do hear a lot of bad things about Paris, but I didn't see any of it. I thought it was incredible.
Amazing.
I'd like to make my own judgment. Thank you.
Let's go. Let's book a trip.
All right, Dale, last question. What is one thing you wish you would have known sooner?
One thing I wish I would have known sooner in life is that, I'm actually a pretty capable person. I wish I had way too much self-doubt early on in starting a business or investing in scary things. And, it's not supposed to be easy, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's possibly going to happen? You're going to go to jail. I mean, are you going to die because you took a risk? Well, I mean, maybe you could, but depending on what the risk is. But, the point being is looking back at opportunities I passed up on because I was too scared. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't this, it wasn't that. And I accidentally got into real estate investing, and I was absolutely terrified. It was kind of a bizarre way this thing worked out, but I ended up having 2 houses at one point and rented one out, and I was terrified. And fast forward, I ended up having a portfolio of rental houses, and it was totally awesome, and everything worked out fine. And I call it Louie. Louie gets on my shoulder. He's the little devil I talked about earlier. So I gave him a name because when he pops up, I know he's there, and I know who I'm talking to. And I wish I would have known about that earlier in life, way earlier.
Very cool. Oh, love that. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us, taking time to get out of your life and all that you want to accomplish to be with us and share your experience. I think it's really important what you're doing with your blog and talking about the scary part of this beginning section. There's shining light on what happens, what it can be like, how there's support, you're not alone. All these messages you're saying are really powerful. And so I'm so grateful that you're putting that into the world and that you took time to sit with us.
Absolutely. Yep. Like I said, I don't want anybody to go through this alone. I know I got, who knows? I would have been a disaster, I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Well, the world's a better place because of you. So thank you.
Stop it, you.
All right, Dale. Last but not least, we have our piece of gold that we like to leave our listeners with. So this is a quote that speaks to you. Would you like to share yours?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a good one, I like to think, but certainly something I would not have heard if I wasn't in the cancer world. But I'd love to give credit to whoever it is, but I cannot remember his name. I believe an author from India, if memory serves me. But he says, regular people want everything. Cancer patients want one thing.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.